It is the first official Monday of June. And I don't know about you guys, but I am so ready for summer. I am Ethan Walker, and I am an educator with Ashtae, and I am coming to you live from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, right down the street from our Ashtae headquarters. And I would love to know where all of you guys are joining for me today. So if you guys want to drop your city or your state, represent, drop an emoji with it, do all the fun things. We're going to start in just a minute. I want to let a couple people hop on here real quick. We are going to be going over some cutting fundamentals today, okay? So Miss Deborah right here, we just gave her a nice good blowout. So we are going to do a very modified bob on her. She's kind of already at a one length bob, but she's wants to go a little shorter. So I'm gonna dive in just a few minutes, and I am going to teach you guys some of the really fun techniques that I learned how to do on bobs when I first came out of school, and they have served me amazing until today, and continue helping me with some of these intricate cuts. All right, let's see here. And as you guys can see, I have all the products that I have used and do use on a daily basis with Ashtae. A lot of people think we just have, treatments or, products for super textured hair, but we also have lots of amazing styling products as well. My favorite is this Diamond Hold Hairspray. She's holding all this up together today, guys. So I wanted to showcase them, and I'll be teaching you guys a little bit about those as well. All right. I know we had some technical difficulties starting up, but I want you guys to jump on here. We are live. Hello, Melissa. Sorry, I'm a little far away from my phone. My vision, girl, my vision. All right, guys. We're going to jump into it. It's going to be about a 30-40 minute live, okay? So before we get started with her cut, everybody that comes into the salon gets shampooed first. What do they get shampooed with? Well, the first shampoo is the Ashtae Clarifying Shampoo. Okay, it's amazing. It smells great. It clarifies. It gets out all the buildup and chlorine and everything out of the hair without stripping the hair color. If you guys can see a little bit, and I'll show you more in depth, she is color treated around the front. She was my same model that I used in the color class, if you guys saw me and Monica in Zoom a couple weeks back. But she got washed with clarifying shampoo, and then sulfate-free moisturizing shampoo, and then I also went in with some of our Silk Protein conditioner, and I also used a little bit of Moisture Plus, because guess what? Everybody gets Moisture Plus, okay? Every single person that walks through this door gets Moisture Plus. If you've been around Ashtae, you know everybody gets Moisture Plus, okay? I also used a little bit of our hair oil on her ends while they were still damp, and I blew her out, okay? Also, you guys, I'm really excited. I have to show y'all. I just got a Shark hair dryer, and this thing is amazing. One of the lightest, most powerful hair dryers I've ever used, okay? I just had to throw that out there, and it comes with amazing attachments. All right, y'all, so if you can see, I parted her down the middle, okay? She flips her part back and forth. Sometimes she does the left, sometimes she does the right, sometimes she does down the center, okay? So for symmetrical reasons and to make sure that everything is even, okay, even though we're gonna be doing some layering, we want to go down the middle because it'll be symmetrical, and whether she flips it to the left or to the right, she's gonna be fine and gonna be even, okay? So I'm gonna turn. Notice I took my very first two sections in the front. They're held with my Ashtae alligator clips. The green are my favorite, but so I parted her right along the back of the ear right here. If you go all the way up, this is where she's parted. Same thing for the other side, okay? So the reason that I part this off in the front is because what really makes a bob, stacked, inverted, asymmetrical, whatever you want to do, whatever makes a bob is usually how it looks in the back. Okay. Now, also, some of you might be wondering, why is her hair straight? Well, let me tell you this. Myself and does it have a comb attachment? Yes, the shark does have a comb attachment. It has a brush attachment. It's like a boar bristle brush that rotates. It has a comb attachment. It has a smoothing attachment like its competitor. I'm not going to name names, but it has all kinds of wonderful attachments. They are amazing. So I know you guys have seen out there on social media and everything, like the curly girl method or like a curly cut, or there's a particular hair influencer out there that does only dry, curly, coily cuts, and it's beautiful and it looks great. However, my only concern with that is what happens if your client is versatile and she wants to wear it blown out straight like this? Because guarantee, you better believe that if her hair was dry and curly in its natural state, and we cut a bob in its natural state, when she goes to flat iron it or she comes back in for a silk press, it's not going to be even. Okay. So, reason number one, I'm starting on dry hair. When it's thick like this, I feel like you have a little more control. Okay. Um, and you also want to make sure that it's going to be even, okay? And curly hair does shrink a little bit. However, I like cutting some curly hair wet, okay? I know a lot of people are opposed to it, but if you know what you're doing and you understand what the hair is going to do before you cut it, then it doesn't matter whether it's dry, whether it's, wet, straight, curly, whatever. You have to understand what the hair is going to do before you cut it, because once it's cut and it does something, you can't really undo that. Okay, you can't put the length back on. So you want to have clean, controlled sectionings. Okay, front two, your normal quadrant sectioning. Now I'm also going to go through, and I like to part the very top section of the back. Notice it's all combed backwards, okay? And we're going to turn just a little bit so you guys can see. I like to have a nice clean parting. Nice clean parting. And we're going to section it. I like to do 3 sections. So here's going to be 1. Tilt her head down a little bit. Here is number 2. Just make sure they're nice and even, everybody, okay? Make sure you have great control. Your precision comes with controlling your sections, okay? Clean sections get you clean results every time. Now, a lot of clients, just like her, are really thick down here, and her neck, her hairline is going to be visible with this short of a haircut, okay? So we need to grab one more clip. And I'm going to section for the 3rd time, maybe even grab just a little more. All right, everybody following along? Anybody have any questions? Can you guys see where we parted at? We had the 2 in the front, 1, 2, 3. Our section that we're about to start cutting on, let me back up. This is all the hair that we're taking right now. This is the only hair that we're messing with right here, right now, okay? It's the only hair we are messing with. All right, guys. So I'm going to turn you over to the side. What I want you to do before you even start to cut the hair, okay? We are going to make sure, and if you guys can't see me, let me know, okay? I'm keeping up with the chats. All right, so what we're going to do, and I'm not going to give away all my tips, okay? Because you got to come to Behind the Chair. Actually, you can attend virtually to Beyond the Chair conference at the end of June. This is the 3rd day of June. You got about 21 more days before that event happens. If you're in this class today, you can get a exclusive code to sign up for Beyond the Chair virtual. We are all sold out in person, But if you attend this class today, you can get a good deal. And I think they're dropping them on the screen for us. Okay. So you want your shoulders and to be lined up with your hips, okay? You wanna stand nice and straight. You wanna have nice, good posture. You wanna let this go. You know, I know a lot of salons will do stretching routines before they start their day, and it sounds kind of corny, guys. But when you're cutting, you have to be ergonomical, okay? If you wanna cut hair all day long and you're cutting hair like this all day long, your shoulders and your back's gonna be messed up, okay? So part of that is actually controlling your client as well. So she needs to put her chin to her chest all the way down. And most of the time, adults are pretty good with this. Okay. However, one more thing I'm going to show you guys, which I love. I can't use it on Miss Deborah today, but when my regular clients are in the chair, I have a cutting collar. Okay. Mine is weighted, it has plates right here. But all you do is you put it around the client on top of their cape. It keeps you from cutting into your cape. It keeps the hair nice and flat on the back. And it also creates a little resistance for that client so they can't sit like this. Now they have to sit and drop their head. It almost forces them to sit the way that you need. Okay? And my clients love it. They think it's relaxing. It's like a salon version of a weighted blanket. Okay? All right. Now, you want to make sure you grab your cutting comb. Anybody know what a cutting comb is? You can drop it in the chat. Hey, Eva. Let's see. Drop in the chat if you know specifically what a cutting comb is and what makes it a cutting comb. Why are we not going to cut with one of these? Does everybody see that? Why are we not going to use this to cut? Drop that in the chat for me and let me see what we got. All right, guys. So I'm standing directly in front of the hair, the section that I'm cutting. And here's what we're going to do. I want you guys to pay close attention to this. If you can't see this, let me know. We're going to cut, overall, we're going to take about 2 inches off. Okay? She's going to have a nice short bob. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that you stay with your section. So if you're cutting over here, your client doesn't necessarily need to move. You need to move with your section. And we're also, now that I think about it, I think Deborah said she wanted her hair to be angled forward, okay? So when you angle forward, you really need to make it a little shorter in the back, okay? However, this is a trick that I learned when I was interning at a salon from a lady named Jen. Jen, if you're watching this, thank you for this tip, girl, because it's been 5 years and I use it every time I do a bob. So remember how I said earlier, we're gonna be able to see her hairline when all her hair is down and cut? So one little trick for making a bob really nice and smooth and to debulk the back, you're gonna do this very first before you even do anything else on the haircut. You're gonna go in, and I like to point cut. You don't wanna go straight across. You wanna hold your shears up and down, point cut, and in the middle of this section, you are going to create a nice little half moon shape or a half, like a crescent shape almost, okay? Now this does 2 things. A, it creates our asymmetricalness from going short in the back to long in the front, like an angle. It creates a little bit of an angle. I'm going to pick this up at a 45 degree also and point cut, do some deep point cutting to debulk that and get rid of some of that weight, but still keep a little bit of the length. All right. And number 2, what this does for us, this also creates some space for the rest of this hair to lay and to move and to swing and to do whatever else she wants it to do, honey, without it looking like a triangle in the back, okay? Because everybody knows if you have weight underneath here, the hair that lays on top, it's gonna lay out, right? It's not gonna lay flat, it's gonna lay out. So, any questions so far? Drop them in the chat. Did everybody drop in the chat where they're from? repping the cities. We're in good old Winston-Salem. All right, guys. Also, too, one little tidbit. Speaking about ergonomics, I don't know if any of you use a swivel shear, but it allows me to turn my hand and wrist in any direction without having to move my elbow and my arm. So I'm doing straight across. Now I'm doing point cutting. I could even slide cut a little bit. You see, I could come down and slide cut all with the flick of the wrist. Okay? Like that song? Flick of the wrist. All right, guys, coming down again. Gonna take our next section. And do you guys see how flat she's already laying? Okay, she's already beveling under just a little bit, which is what you want to keep in mind when you're taking length off, okay? Especially when you're going short, she's gonna want it right around her chin, area. All right, so you need to come underneath here. And your second section is really where you're gonna start your guide because you don't want it to be as short as your underneath section at the nape, okay? So what you're gonna do, yes, you're gonna come through and you're gonna take your 2 inches off. If you're new to cutting or you're scared to cut that much off, this is why you take your cutting comb. It goes up to 7 inches, it can measure. It also allows the client to see exactly what they're getting cut off so they trust you a little bit more as well. And I know what you're thinking. They should automatically trust you. And I get it. I think they should. But sometimes clients have a hard time parting with their hair. Now, you can come in and hold this section in between your fingers. Make sure you're cutting palm to palm if you do that. On the corners right here, I'm going to pull them back just a smidge bit because remember, we're getting an angle. Right? She wants it a little longer in the front, so we're gonna over direct this just a little bit, guys. Just a little bit. Do we have any questions so far? Everybody can see. You also can do the scissor over comb like I'm doing. I prefer that because I've been cutting hair for so long. My cutting comb is almost like an extension of my fingers. All right, and I'm just going through and fine point cutting this bottom section so she's nice and wispy. And it's gonna look blunt without being blunt, okay? It's gonna look blunt without being blunt. Now, this is your guide for the rest of the back, okay? So, this little section right here, I'm gonna take her off. And my goal is to show you guys this completed haircut because if you know how to cut a bob, you can cut anything. And if you know how to cut a bob on any texture, you can cut anything, okay? What I don't want is people and stylists in this industry to be afraid of cutting somebody's hair because of the texture or because they don't know how to work their shears, okay? And that's gonna be one of the classes that I'm teaching at Beyond the Chair. It's Master the Shear. Me and my lovely counterpart, Miss Lynette Battle, are going to be teaching that class, okay? So now, if the hair is super thick and dense, I like to create subsections within my section, okay? So what that means is I'm going to take this hair and get it out of my way. Can everybody see that? Getting that hair out of the way. At this point, you should be able to see your guide underneath there, okay? So I know that we're taking almost 2 inches off. I'm gonna come around here so you guys can see me. And again, I'm point cutting this because why? I don't necessarily want it to be blunt. I want her to have a defined line, but I don't want it to be blunt. Also, when you point cut, because she has textured hair and because she has curly hair, when you point cut, when she goes back to her natural and she reverts back to her natural texture, the point cut is going to leave her curls and the ends of her hair a lot softer, and it's going to allow her hair to lay a lot better, especially when we go to put these layers in, okay? Oh, hey, Paris. Hey, Eva. My girls. Also, I want to shout out my lovely ladies who are at Premier Orlando, repping the Ashtae fam today, this entire weekend actually. They are there with Mrs. Woods, and they are doing the doggone thing in Florida. They are representing. You guys, we're getting ready for our conference. It's so amazing. Again, if you haven't got a ticket, you need to by the end of this class. Again, we're just point cutting. And if you're not comfortable with point cutting, here's a little tip. Take a small section, very controlled, right? Again, cut palm to palm, and go in with your blade open, and on the exit, on the backstroke, you're gonna close that shear. See, we're gonna come in with it open, and as soon as we're pulling back, we're nipping. We are nipping. And yes, you can make a straight line with the point cut technique. It is just going to be a line that is softened. It's not going to be a blunt line, okay? Now, can you guys see? We're gonna raise our head back up by pulling the direction. Can you guys see there's a little bit of an angle starting to form already? Can we see that, everybody? All right, now, she needs to keep her head back down. And clients sometimes will wanna help you. Don't let them help you. In the sense of cutting hair, right? Like, they don't need to move. You need to make sure that you have control of the client, because again, sometimes the more they move, the worse it is on your back or something like that. Now, if I didn't want to hold my hands, you can always take the comb at your desired angle and go through like that. Pulling back across just to check, making sure our length is nice and good. Have a long section. Now, I want you guys to remember when you go to cross-check your section, let's say you're pulling it up, making sure it's all even, don't cut when you cross-check. Find the mistake while you're cross-checking, put it down, go back and find it in the loose hair, and then adjust, okay? If you cut while you're cross-checking, you're gonna have a hole in your haircut. All right, top section. Now, she doesn't have a whole lot to take off right here because she was a little layered before. So I'm actually gonna have her look up just a little bit. I'm gonna pull this section out now with my fingers. Zero elevation. We are going to cut. I'm gonna speed up just a little bit for you guys. I don't want you guys to lose interest. Any questions so far? Now again, I'm really paying attention to the detail in this cut, because this is a type of cut that you're going to be able to see the minor little imperfections once it's styled if you didn't cut it properly. And by the way, I've been cutting hair all morning, guys. I was worked up, I was in the zone. So I decided to, talk about this today, because also it's oftentimes where, I don't know why Facebook and Instagram feeds me these algorithms, but it is some of the most unprofessional at-home hairdressers that I've ever seen on Facebook and Instagram. And they're trying to cut a bob with the razor and like the clippers, like one of these. They'd be cutting a bob with one of these. Now you can, if you know what you're doing, but you shouldn't default to the clipper just because you know it's gonna make a blunt line. Okay. And also, I'm using my very nice shears on this mannequin hair, which sometimes is advised not to do, but these are swivel, and I have to have a swivel, guys. But make sure you also have good shears, because guess what? You're charging for that haircut. If you get a $50 pair of shears from Sally's, it's gonna look like that once you cut that hair. I believe we'll even have some shears for sale at the Beyond the Chair conference. All right, now, does everybody see this back right here? How nice and neat. I'm gonna let her relax and pop her head up. Let's make sure. Oh yeah, got a nice even line. Now, what I'm gonna do next, I'm going to take that front section down and I am going to marry them together. I'm even gonna take this side too. But remember, when you take this down out of the clips, guys, you don't have to, oh, she's a little wavy. You do not have to cut this whole section at once, okay? You don't do that. If you're not comfortable with it and if their hair is too thick, grab another alligator clip. Because guess what? You're gonna take some hair from the back this time too, because now this is how she's gonna wear it, right? So you're gonna marry all this together and you're gonna create another section because you're making an angle, and this is the most important part about this haircut. If they want an angle, this is the most important part. Because you can take out the angle and make it straight, but if you make it straight and they want an angle, you're gonna have to bring all this back up and you're gonna have to cut into everything you just worked so hard to make nice and pretty, okay? This part's important because now they're looking up, now you wanna create a dramatic angle, they need to be looking nice and straight, okay? Use your cutting collar if you have to. Let's see here. All right, you guys see this angle already? We just need to fine tune it up. And matter of fact, her hair is really thick, so I'm gonna take another section. I'm gonna show you guys, don't be afraid to section. I've been cutting hair for 5 years, and I still section, 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 because that's where you achieve your preciseness, your evenness. All right. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. There are 2 ways you can do this, guys. Yes, we will have, yes, we are gonna have some shears for sale. All right, perfect. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can follow the guide that you've already cut in the back